Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Mais Canal Forró. Today, a very special show, straight from Stockholm, Sweden. Everything will be talk in English today because we have two special guests. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Maya from Forró Stockholm.
And I'm Andrea from Forró Stockholm also.
Exactly. So today we're here basically to talk about a little bit of this beautiful group that we have here in Stockholm and show you guys that we actually have Forró in Europe. For those that don't know that, we have Forró in Stockholm and many other countries, and we're going to talk about that as well. Okay, for those that already know that, Europe is a vast universe with a lot of Forró here. We're also going to talk about a little bit of the communities here and a few new topics, this federation and other stuff that have been happening recently. And it's going to be nice.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So, to start, maybe we should start talking about the Forró Stockholm here. And how it started and why we have Forró here in Stockholm. And I think we should start with Maya, since it was you, right, who brought the Forró here.
Yeah, partly. There was some Forró here before, some expats organizing and still organizing festivities that had Forró. But there was not a regular scene here when I came here or regular parties. And I really, really missed it from living in Lisbon a couple of years before.
Mm-hmm. That was in what year?
This was... when I moved to Stockholm was 2012.
Okay.
So I had been in Lisbon for 2 years and I had got to know Forró there. Well, originally I got to know Forró in Sao Paulo, but just a little taster.
Yeah.
And then in Lisbon was where I was getting really into the dance and the community, and I really just loved the vibe and the music and everything. And then when I came to Stockholm, I really, really missed it. And so I just had to find people and had to start organizing and teaching beginner classes just to get something going. And then I met really nice people like Andrea here. And we started to have events like clandestino, just meeting up in parks. And we had like a little weekend festival inviting some teachers. And then eventually we started an association that's called Forró Stockholm. And from then we've continued with classes and festivals every week, every year.
Perfect. Yeah. How, Andrea, how you met Maya, how you met Forró, how you started in all of this?
Me and Maya had a common friend, actually. So the three of us started dancing a little bit together. And I think that was when I started to get to know Forró very slowly, bit by bit, was from the summer of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And for me it was the music initially. And I know I'm not alone in that. A lot of people really get infatuated with the music as well as the dance, but before I knew the dance well enough to do anything.
Of course.
Yeah, I still really, really like the music. So that's how, like a common friend of ours, and then me and Maya really got along well, and I
shared the vision as well.
Yeah, we really shared. Well, first of all, then the interest in dancing Forró, and also had kind of shared the vision of how we wanted to make it grow.
Yeah. Of course.
And what kind of community we wanted to have. Yeah.
We appreciated the same things, I think.
Yeah.
We traveled together too within Europe to festivals, and kind of that's how I learned what I liked and what I wanted to bring with me home if possible.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So this was early everything here, right? I mean, what did you have when you first started talking about this vision and this idea of what kind of community you guys wanted to make here?
Well, there was some other people involved in the start as well, and like Soila, for instance.
Yeah.
And I remember having a meeting about what do we want in this community, and I think one of the biggest thing was to have an inclusive environment.
Yeah.
Because I think also that's what attracts a lot of people to Forró.
Yes.
It doesn't feel very exclusive. The scene, even now when it's pretty big, of course there are cliques of really good dancers or whatever, but like generally the vibe is pretty open. You can just have a beginner come there and learn some basic steps the same night and be asked to dance and have the courage to ask people as well.
Yeah. We
and
wanted
just
to promote that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was one part of the vision we had.
Yeah, definitely. And also I think we wanted to incorporate values that are important to us, like equality, like gender equality. Like we wanted to bring that perspective into how we organize things, who we invite, and not just gender equality, but yeah, we wanted to like bring what matters to us. We wanted to color our organization by that, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And have a very friendly vibe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I would say friendship or friendliness is a value.
And prestigelessness.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a word?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
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 I get that goes together with openness.
Yeah.
No prestige, no like, I don't know. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that you say that because I think everything that you guys just said now is part of the many reasons why so many people enjoy the Forró community so much. And we've talked a lot with other people in Rio as well about how they started Forró and how why they kept dancing. And even for us, I think we talked in one of the videos, I don't remember very well, but at least for me, like one of the things that kept me really attracted to keep going to the Forró and the Forró parties were this fact that, you know, really friendly, can make a lot of friends, and this thing of prestigeless vibe of, you know, each person can be their own, you know, their own person. So it's really interesting, and it ends up that I think it's important that because you're bringing something that's not originally from here, right?
Yeah.
That you guys could understand so well the culture and this vibe and bring here.
Yeah. Well, I had been to Brazil already,
Yeah.
so I had some experience, and I already spoke Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
That helped a lot, I think.
Yes.
Too. Your background already. Yeah. For us, when we started organizing, it was crucial, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's how it happens a lot in Europe. Organizers that become organized because they've been traveling Brazil or to some other folk community in Europe, and they maybe learn Portuguese, and then they come to a city where there isn't anyone, and they're like, I have to have it here.
Yeah.
So it's a necessity to bring it.
Yeah. I mean, that's so strong that, you know, people just bring it here into other countries. I mean, because there's not only Forró in Europe, there's Forró in the United States, Australia, and Japan. I mean, many other places, Canada. So, but here in Europe, I think since it's, it's a smaller continent, I think there is this feeling of togetherness.
Oh,
Right,
definitely,
right?
yeah, because a lot of people in the Forró scene, they travel to festivals in different capitals in Europe.
Yes.
And it's of course easier to travel within Europe than to Brazil. But people go to Brazil as well because we're crazy.
Yeah.
So we go.
People go a lot to Brazil to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how people afford it, but
People
it's a necessity.
Priorities.
exactly.
Priorities. It's all about that.
And people take like sabbatical years and hiatus from their jobs and everything, or maybe they just quit their job and they go to Brazil for a year or whatever, and then professionalize a bit in the dance.
I think the first whole year for me was about just kind of enjoying and discovering. I mean, I still enjoy it and discover things for sure. But then I was completely like new to the scene. And we didn't have as much activity here yet, but we were starting. And we traveled a lot those first months and first year. So that was very like it's very strong, both really enjoyable and a very strong learning experience as well.
Definitely, and you meet people various time in different festivals.
Yes.
So the more you travel, the more people you get to know, and they will visit your festival, and
Yeah.
so that's what creates a lot of like bigger community feel than just within your country.
Yes.
I think.
Let's talk about that in a bit. Let's go back to this European side of the Forró. Because many people ask and wonder if the Forró here in Europe is the same as the Forró in Brazil. And as you were saying, many people go to Brazil, discover Forró there, and they spend many months in Brazil having classes and kind of professionalizing before coming back to Europe. Many cases happen, but I think it's important to go a little bit further in that and just to explain to our viewers like how you perceive that. I mean, what kind of teachers do you have here? Like what kind of events that you have? Because you have talked about the festivals, right? And what we can find in those festivals. Are there the same bands that we have to find in Brazil? Is it just forró pé de serra, forró eletrônico, forró universitário? So what can we find here?
Well, I think you can find any kind of forró in Europe, but the community that we work within is usually it's mostly concentrated on pé de serra and within that it's universitário and hoots, and not so much electrónico, brega, other genres of forró.
Yes.
But they exist as well, but a little bit more parallel to the dance community.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit similar in Brazil, isn't it? Because like forró is so popular, such a popular genre that you have all flavors and in like all parties. You don't have to be a dancer. You can just go to your family parties and dance forró.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's not that wide here. It's a little bit more specialized to different.
But I heard Brazilians coming here and dancing around in Europe, saying that it was very pé de serra.
Yeah.
Maybe it depends on where you're coming from in Brazil and what your experience is.
Yeah.
Experience is of dancing there, but that's what I like. That's something I heard from Brazilians.
Yeah.
So maybe that's worth mentioning.
Yeah. But it is in fact. We have talked about Easy Guys and Daniel Marinho. They have a video with us talking about their experience in Europe as teachers. And who are used to watch us, they know that we usually work with a lot with the root style, which is a variation for the forró pé de serra.
Yeah.
And we have that a lot here, of course.
It's popular.
Yeah, really popular.
Yeah.
And as I said, when we started, we have a pé descalço school in London.
Yeah.
And a lot of teachers that come here also work with Universitário.
Yeah.
So mainly I think for us, right? I mean, because us and the people that we know that we work with, it's mainly that.
Yeah.
And the rest I really don't know. Maybe there is more, but I'm not really aware.
I think it's more among expats that have like other kinds of forró events going on, but it's not the same kind of network as a forró pé de serra.
Yeah, probably.
So it exists, but not within this community so much.
Yeah.
But I think that every now and then teachers come to Europe for a longer period of time or to live, like moving here, and I think that's such like a treasure of because each one who does that to pursue teaching in Europe brings something with them, and
fresh from Brazil.
Yes.
Fresh from Brazil.
Yes. But it's true, that's how we evolve.
And different like backgrounds, like some are like from pé descalço, for example, or some have even more experience in like what's it called again, electronico.
Yes.
Yeah. Or pé de serra or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this influx of different
and there's waves of styles as well.
Yeah.
Like there was a pé descalço wave, and now I think it's more of a roots wave since a couple of years.
Yeah.
It has really gotten stronger the recent years with teachers coming here and teachers also being inspired when they've been in Itaúnas or other in Brazil. So yeah, it's evolving and changing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're like a little bit after what's happening in Brazil. So the changes that happen in Brazil, maybe it comes here like a few years after, like booming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe 1 year after.
Yeah. It depends a little bit, but
Yeah, I think now it's really connected as for Brazil and here.
Yeah.
We have so many trades between the countries, and a lot of people going to Brazil, as you said, and a lot of people now from Brazil here in Europe. And I think this is what make it possible that it doesn't have so much difference, like you're talking about the booms, right? Because as soon as someone goes there and for vacation or anything, like it already sees. And now talking more about the events themselves, like as producers of events, right? Because there is a festival here in Stockholm that have been happening for how many years now?
It was supposed to be the 6th, I think, this summer.
It was supposed to be number 6 that didn't happen. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because of Corona.
Yeah.
Had to cancel.
So 6 years already. So
and we were definitely not the first. I mean, there has been festivals for
way longer.
Way longer, yeah.
In Europe.
Yeah.
We're quite late
Yeah.
in the game still compared to the bigger festivals.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And as producers, right? How do you feel about like whenever you go to Brazil or whenever someone comes to Europe or when you go to a bigger festival and you see the bands and the teachers? How do you feel this idea of connection and bringing people here to Stockholm? How do you try to work with that? Like how do you choose what to do here?
Yeah. Like who to invite.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is like a really important part actually.
Yeah.
Like what you see and experience while you're out in Europe or in Brazil. It might be even better, but less attainable, of course, when you live here. And I personally feel, because I have been doing fewer festivals in the just recent years, and we kind of had other people, like
scouting
for us.
Yeah.
And that's really like something I have missed, because it's not as a direct connection for me, because I wasn't at that festival maybe to experience that band that we are now inviting, but maybe I've seen them before. But this part of the producing is kind of the preparation is really, really important, because that's how you choose who you wanna. That's how we've chosen before in the past. We've been to.
Yeah, sometimes we've actually invited people that we don't have experience with. Also. I mean, teachers, for instance, and then we've looked maybe at how they dance, or we've gone through other recommendations. So that could happen.
But it's really been like, we've always been quite thorough and careful about who we choose to work with.
Well, more and more. I think in the beginning it was harder to have experience and to judge what would really work.
But I think we tried, it was just more difficult because we were so new in the game.
And now we're more people to have a say and that had experience. So in the board, for instance, when we do a festival, there might be 10 people voting, or maybe if it's a work group, it could be 5 people voting on some teachers or some musicians who to bring, and then it actually matters a lot what kind of experience you had taking the class or being at the concert, and it's not only about quality, it's also about what that person will bring to us as a person. Like, is somebody who's professional, who will be easy to work with. It's somebody that will bring a good vibe to the festivals. Yeah. So that will be...
It's as you said before, like what kind of community you want to build.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. We try to, like, for there to be some coherence between those things of what we want to inspire and build and who we choose to work with, of course. Yeah. I mean, that's an important contribution to create that. Yeah. And you get a lot of help from people who accept our invitations to come here. I mean, that's really important for us in our pursuit of building that community.
Also because we have a pretty small community compared to other one, it makes more of a difference who's gonna come here and be a part of a festival, for instance. Yes. Because you will notice it more.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no okay, there's a crowd to get lost in, but it's it's a limited
Still like
crowd.
a little family feeling, you know.
Yeah, and we like that aspect too.
Yeah.
But yes, it's noticeable who is there, and I think that can be a challenge for teachers and whoever is coming because they will have a lot of spotlight on them.
Yeah.
But it's also a possibility to really connect with people, and people. Our especially like festival goers have been very, very pleased so far. I think.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been like a really, for many people, it's a really strong experience to go to a festival for the first time.
Yeah.
And for many of our guests, it is their first festival. It's quite often, at least for the Swedes, not for the Europeans. They have been around well.
Yeah.
But for the Swedes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they, I remember that feeling.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting that since it's something that it's not natural from here, and here we have a small community in other countries as well. So sometimes for some people it's really hard to have this this connection with Forró, right? And the festival is such a big thing because you bring people from abroad, you bring bands, and that usually is those are things that we don't see like every day, every week here, right? So the festival is really an important moment where these people that can't go to Brazil or haven't been able to go to another big festival or anything like that.
That's important to mention for the context for the viewers, that we don't have, when there's a Forró party here, it's often it's a DJ.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, and more rarely live music because we simply don't have musicians living here.
Yeah.
Well, it might be developing, but for a long time that's been the case.
Yeah.
And it's still most often the case.
Yeah.
So I mean, live music is really something special.
Exactly.
Both because it's like the experience, but here also because of how scarce we have these opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, we still do concerts
for
every now
sure.
and then, maybe like 4 per year.
Yeah, before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the festival obviously stands out
Yeah.
a lot because there's like live gigs every day. And,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely our most important event.
Yeah.
And very different from the rest of the year.
Yeah. So this is really nice. I mean, as you said, like 4 bands per year coming here to Stockholm.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to big cities in Brazil, because of course it's not the same every city in Brazil. Smaller cities don't have that as well, so it's almost like you guys here. But if you go to Rio, São Paulo, Salvador, you have like almost every day you can find a concert or a band or anything.
But that you have that in Europe in some cities. In Lisbon, for instance, sometimes you have live music 3 times a week.
Okay.
With really good musicians.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think
there's been like phases of that in some European cities. I know London had a strong few years. I don't know. It's still like a strong community.
What about Paris?
Paris, too as well. Like for at least for periods of time, there have been like multiple gigs.
Yeah. But it's nice to see like how important it becomes, like these events, right? Yeah. And sometimes it's those simple things that sometimes we forget when we are immersed, like in Rio. A lot of people that watch us are from Rio, and I think they're just used to having that every day.
Yeah, of course.
You spoiled.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you just don't give enough credits and enough importance and see that just not relevant enough.
Yeah.
But as soon as you leave that circle, you see how important Forró is for a lot of people and how much we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, all the artists, the teachers, the musicians, and everything, right?
Yeah. And as much as we would like to be able to provide more live concerts and more events, well, especially right now when there's nothing, normally too, it's really gratifying. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
To when you really can, the few times you can organize something and have like, we do this, except for the festival, we've been doing workshop weekends when we invite one or two teachers and like maybe a band.
Yeah.
Or maybe that teacher knows how to play one instrument and we have put together just like
it has weight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
we
let's
make
do-
a party. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick pause.
Mhm.
And then we'll be right back. And we're back. Second round with Maya and Andrea. So now, as we were talking about before, the importance of the community and the feeling of being part of this community, right? So, can you guys talk about a little bit more of the organization that you have here? Because I know that you have like a board, right, with many people.
Yeah.
And you, as you said before, you choose teachers and bands based on the decision of many people.
Yeah.
So it's not just the two of you that
No, not at all.
organize, right? So
No.
No. In the beginning it was,
Yeah.
but not anymore when we have this association.
exactly. So how does it work? Like, are people getting paid for that? Like, is that a profitable organization? What is it? How does it work?
Well, nobody's getting paid, so it's all
In the board.
yeah. Well, teachers get paid.
Teachers and musicians, yes. And even if you teach, like, let's say I would give a class during a festival or something, then I could get paid or I could do it pro bono. But like the organizational work is all non-profit.
Yeah.
And also as an association, it's not like we have a fancy dinner in the end of the year for the rest of the money that we earned or something.
No.
We reinvest whatever surplus we do into other events.
Yeah. That's the only goal, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To make more for all happen, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we are happy when we have a little surplus because we can always then we can put it into something else.
Yeah.
And that has enabled us to invite more bands and more teachers.
Yeah.
So we have a board we're about 10 people in it. And then you can also, if you're not in the board but you want to be involved in the organization, you can just be a member.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like any other.
There are people who have been helping out or taking initiatives that were in the board, and a lot of people that have been very proactive, shared our values. They have actually become a member of the board eventually.
Yeah.
Because they were getting more and more involved.
It's usually kind of a natural development for people because some, of course, it's just absolutely fine to come as a guest and enjoy the events, but some have this drive to organize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then for those people, it has often been, I think, a natural development to kind of.
And why do you think people get so involved in that? Because I mean, as you said, it's everything's made out of love, right? No one's getting anything out of it
No.
except more forró.
Yeah, I
It's
think
the
that's.
football virus.
Yeah.
Is
Obviously,
dangerous.
like the love for the dance and the music is a strong driving force for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
But I also, and I hope that, I think it's really important when you do pro bono work, and it can be quite a lot of work at times, depending on the season and so on.
I mean, organize a festival, it's not something easy,
No.
right? You have to
Well, there's so many
receive,
things to think about.
all the artists, the people that are working there, and
Everything with the
making
venues
food,
and-
the venues, I mean, everything that can
It's
think of.
work.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that you have fun along the way to kind of make it a sustainable thing to do, because if it's not fun and you're not getting paid, like it might, like, your motivation will drop at some point. Yeah. So I think it's important to have, like, for us who are like working, to have a good atmosphere between each other and to have fun and to not only be like business partners running an enterprise, because it's like a passion project.
Yeah.
So we try also to, we have work groups within the board, so that you don't have to be involved in everything or things that you are not really interested in. Most people have like a skill set or a special skill in something or special interest for some part, maybe organizing the classes or really interested in doing marketing for the events, or interested in the music part of Forró, so maybe you want to work with the bands coming, or so we divided the tasks among ourselves throughout the year.
And there are periods where people are less active and more active. It could be like, for instance, I don't live in Stockholm anymore, so I'm less active during the year, but then when the festival is coming and I'm going to be present, then I'm more involved.
Yeah.
And the same for some people that had some job situations, they might be a little bit less and then they come back.
Yeah.
Sometimes people move and they leave the board and then somebody else will join.
There's a slow but kind of naturally occurring turnaround of people as well. I mean, some leave at some point.
But what Andrea said is like really crucial that you can work well with the people, and I think that will also show naturally before you really start organizing a lot, that you notice that you like the vibe, you like the people, and then it's also more easy to click and to work together.
Yeah.
And there will be tension, of course, in any organization. There will be things that you don't agree upon, but there has to be like a lot of common from the start. So the things that you don't agree upon, it will be easy to overcome that. Eventually.
Like, you need a foundation to fall back on.
Friendship. Here we are again. Friendship is
to fall back on.
And I think we've have enjoyed the friendship in the organization a lot, like because a lot of people are actually coming from other countries that are getting involved in Forró. It could be Brazilians, but also like we have people that come from Russia or
students,
Egypt, both students and organizers. And it's to get. I think that's a really good way to get a little family in a new country, in a new town, to combine it with your hobby and people that share that passion.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's true for the whole community, I think.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I feel that in Rio as well. And I mean, I'm from there, so I imagine.
Yeah, right.
When you're from somewhere else, and you can find this how to say, yes,
welcoming atmosphere.
Yes, this welcoming atmosphere, and
purpose,
like an extended family.
Yes, exactly. It's really nice, and actually I noticed that in your events and your festival, you can feel this atmosphere of welcoming, and I think that's one of the reasons that your festival makes a lot of success, at least what I've heard of. And I personally, I loved being here last year for the festival, and you can feel that. And but I could feel that in how people talk to each other and behave during the parties and the concerts and everything. And I think it's really important to have this group, this team that, as you said, like it's friendship, right? Because when you make this kind of thing work in a friendship way, people notice that. People can see and feel exactly.
Yeah.
I think you have a huge responsibility there as an organizer.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's not just putting an event together and then showing up. I mean, of course, you can't have have a good day all days. I mean, of course, I get that, but you still have.
And during the festival, it's super stressful.
Sure, I mean, we all have our days, but I think you have a huge responsibility as a representative of an organization, but also, this maybe sounds a little bit pushy, but we also expect that from, if we talk about the festival, for example, because that's our main event of the year, we expect that from the people we work with as well, and they can expect it from us, but we expect them to contribute with that. And I know it's hard work to be somewhat in the center of the focus or attention, like as you can be as a teacher or musician or organizer. People will maybe turn to you for questions or for dance or for just.
It's gotten so much better when we are more now, because in the start when we were only like 1, 2 or maximum 3 that were responsible, it was so stressful, because you still wanted to have a really friendly atmosphere and give a smile to everybody that were asking you things, but it just like when you have so much responsibility yourself, it's really, really stressful.
Yeah, so of course you can help each other out there, and now we can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that, like, if you don't have time yourself, you can direct to another person, and if you have like 8 or 10 persons, it just makes everything easier.
Yeah.
And also when you divide the responsibilities, so if somebody has a question or something, I can direct to the one who's
responsible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now talking about, again, as producers, organizers, do you feel there is a cultural shock with the Brazilian people that you have to work with? I mean, that you hire to work for you guys during the festivals, the musicians, teachers, and whatever people might be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that they understand when they come to Europe? I mean, the way that you guys work,
Mm-hmm.
or do you feel that is different? Because I think you guys have also talked about Brazilian organizers, right? People that organize events in Brazil as
Mhm.
well. So, do you think? I mean, just to make this this difference. Is there a difference between Brazilian events or European
I
events?
think that really, really varies. I mean, when it comes to understanding each other, I mean, it's something that goes both ways, right? It's not just like we expect people to come here and like understand us like that. It's not something mutual that needs to happen. And then I think it's really, it depends so much. I wouldn't say there's been like a cultural shock. It's at a few occasions when you just kind of like realize that you're coming from, you have different expectations about what's gonna happen when you work together. That happens on a few occasions.
Yeah.
But I think in general it's been going. I mean, collaboration wise, if I'm just talking about that, I think it has been mostly kind of smooth, because people want to do a good job and we want to be perceived as good organizers, and I mean, you come a long way just with that. But of course you can notice sometimes that you come from different places in the world.
I mean, it's normal, right?
Yeah.
I ask that mainly because I see like the professionals that are starting to establish themselves now in the Forró market, that for a lot of people coming to Europe is a big dream of theirs, and it can be scary sometimes to say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this tour, or I'm gonna try to work there and talk to these people from so far away."
Yeah.
And I think it's good for you to say that. I mean, in the end, if you want to do a good job, a good work, that's pretty much. I mean, it's all over the world the same, right? People understand each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes you a long way, and even if there are misunderstandings, if you have those intentions, and it also obviously it depends on the people you're working with. I mean, the organizers in this case.
Yeah.
But if both have like those intentions, I think you will be able to overcome a lot.
Yeah.
Even if there would be misconceptions or
I think it's a lot. It has to do with personality too.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you might have some issue with a Brazilian, and you might have that with a European organizer as well.
Yeah.
So Brazilians that come to Europe, they're very different. They're not just one kind, and they take different parts of the cultures that are coming to, because not all European countries are the same.
Of course.
So if you come to France, and the French culture is not the same as the Swedish one, or the Portuguese, or the British for that case. So I think Brazilians will meet different cultures when they come here, depending on where they establish. And it's very common that a Brazilian teacher or musicians will go on tours like 1 or 2 times before they decide, okay, I would like to go maybe to this country, or
to establish
exactly. So I think
that can be a nice way of trying it out. Do something smaller scale first.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
And I think for them it also
digest
what organizers do they click with.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Or what community do they feel, okay, here I really feel welcome, or here I think it's gonna work, or here there's actually a space for somebody to come.
Yeah, that can also be pretty. I mean, that's a crucial aspect. Whether there's like, is it a small, close-knit community with one teacher that is like, no, he's gonna be there. Then like it's going to be more challenging, of course. It would require starting a new group, basically, and that is always work.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. But yeah, it can be. That's the case in our small Nordic cities. That we don't have many. There is Forró in Stockholm, Forró Stockholm, and we are the only ones who organize Forró.
Yeah.
There are not many organizers here.
Yeah.
Basically, there are a few like who are doing more Brazilian.
Overall Brazilian events, right? Not just Forró.
Yeah. Not just Forró, but who sometimes invite a Forró band or someone. But they're doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we're the only Forró
man, yes.
Yeah.
And talking about these people that come here and the organization itself, how do you try to work with people? Like, what's important for you guys to think about when bringing people here? Because in Brazil, in Forró, we have this huge movement of political thinking.
Oh yeah.
So we think about gender equality and fighting against sexual harassment as well. I was going to talk about racism and all these things that might happen.
Yeah.
And in general, I see the Forró in Brazil being really, of course not everyone, but we have this huge part of the Forró community that's really into making the Forró a better place for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you guys feel about that? And here in Stockholm and in Europe in general as well?
Well, I think some of those topics are super, super important for us, and they've been from the start. And I feel that we've always been aware of it and intentional, and it hasn't always worked out. Maybe that we've invited people that didn't really live up to that standard that we wanted to have. But you have to you can't know everything about one person before you invite them. Sometimes you just have to take chances.
That's the same thing when you hire someone for any kind of job,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And then you see what works.
Yeah, there's always some little amount of risk taking. I mean, that's just part of it.
But I think that's really important here. But for me personally, when I started this without having an organization, my philosophy was that like a soft feminism in a way. I didn't even think about it in that way, but I just did it because that's what I had seen that it worked for me in other communities where there are women present taking place, but they're letting men do that as well, but they're not letting a macho culture frodas, thrive. Yeah. So we really try to avoid having a woman or a man with a sexist attitude.
If we have seen that openly, especially if more than one of us have noticed that, because obviously sometimes our impressions of people are not identical.
Yeah, of course.
So, and we are not of the mindset that we're judge people
directly.
No. Yeah. That would be very difficult to have that kind of mindset, I think. But if we, especially as a group, experience this sexist attitude, or racist attitude, or just some aspect that we don't really appreciate, then we will. That's kind of what we go by, our own impressions. Just how you build impressions of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't send out a list of requirements to people if you're going to work with us, you have to live up to this. And sometimes, I mean, I feel also that you also need to see people for who they are, and it's not like we only want to invite outspoken feminists, because we know that that's not part of everyone's culture. I mean, you can still be a good person. You don't have to be I'm so political, but you can still
waving the flag, right? And
you can still be a nice person that you vibe nice with, and you've seen that they build good atmosphere. That's also super important. Just to put it in perspective. But
and also what we've seen is that people do change. Let's say I'm a sexist person and I come into a community, or I move to a country or whatever, and I get involved, and then maybe I actually slowly adopt new values because I realize that this is possible. It's not too threatening to not be acting like this anymore. I can actually like this. So there's a room for people to adapt as well.
Yeah. And I think you need to be open to that, especially when you're like cultures are mixing, intermingling. That like there's also an adaptive process going on for like all of us. So it would be for me if I moved to another country, whatever, in Europe too.
Yeah. But I think from the start we were also trying to be a bit like leaders and followers and not always like dama cavaliere.
That was something that we talked about a lot in Brazil, like because in the Portuguese language we don't have that neutral right now. So we talk a lot about that and how in English it's easier to use it, and it's really good to use it.
I mean, we have the neutral form in Swedish as well. If we speak Swedish to the Swedish followers.
Because I think we're very pro of people exploring whatever part they want of leading or following, and I think it makes you a better dancer as well if you learn both sides.
There are no bad sides to that, I think, at all.
No.
And I think a lot of people get inspired by that too, by like trying different roles. Like maybe you learn how to follow quite well and you wanna. That's kind of a common thing. That we see. And that's really inspiring for people.
But I think one aspect that we talked about is that to not shove like political ideas down somebody's throat. Like I think we try not to be overly political. We have values that might coincide with political views.
But it's more important to let it like
more
shape.
Values than politics, because when you have very, very strong, you will exclude a lot of people that might adapt it or maybe change their mind eventually about stuff. I don't like when things are too polarized. But it's really important that we who organize know where we stand, and if something happens, how we're going to deal with it.
Exactly, yes.
And I think it's more important than to be like, shoving it down people's throats. It's more important to let the values that we have, influence how the community is, the atmosphere, and like that kind of presence of our values, rather than like, I mean, we can also be open and talk about it, but it's not like only that's important, like saying like this is important for me. If it is something important, then like let it color what you do, let it affect what you're doing. That's what's important, I think.
And I can mention, I know in Lisbon there's something that we could actually be inspired by, because every event that, I think it is Paso Bayan when they organize things, that they put in the end, like, we don't accept sexist, racist attitudes or something, because if you state that already in the event, if something bad happens, then they know already where they stand.
And this was important for us, I think, at least I will speak for myself, but when I started getting involved together with Maya and we started traveling together, I felt both this like openness and inclusive communities in many places, but I also saw this kind of patriarchal structures present. Maybe a little bit more than in my other parts of my life, like and that's not strange. I mean, I think that's maybe what I expected too. So it's not like a shocker or anything, but this is just something that can kind of exist and live on by itself, even though it might not be something that people think about or actively try to nurture, but it can still just kind of be there, I think, by tradition. And I saw a lot of men in prominent positions, like as teachers, organizers, DJs, but I was so much guys, which was also nice, but I miss the women in those positions, because however you put it, that makes a difference. It does, for the women and the men in the community. So that was something that struck me early on, and I think that's also, and you, I bet, from your traveling and all of that, that's why we had it with us so early.
But I think now there's a lot of female organizers and much more teachers as well. Not a lot of musicians.
No.
But
It's
a lot of
changing, but-
teachers and organizers. So I think maybe it's easier to work with values like gender values because of that.
Yeah, it's good.
It has changed since 2014-15 in
Yeah.
Europe. It has
A lot,
progressed.
Yeah.
So it's not the same exactly now.
Yeah,
as
and
it was then.
interesting that you say that because it's recent. 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
No, it's like a lot of things can happen in a short time.
Yeah.
I think I think that progress owes to a lot of things, but
Yeah.
I think it owes. One thing that we really should lift is all the women doing that job, doing the work,
Yeah.
and taking the space. And I'm sure there are a lot of guys who offer the space as well.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of girls and women in Europe are aware of this kind of structures that we have been talking about now.
Yeah.
And aren't trying not to be stopped by them. Just pursue what they want to do.
Like sometimes I visit other dance communities and I'm like, really? Like, because it's like much stronger macho culture than
Okay.
Forró.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
Because
Other dances.
other dance
Yeah.
communities.
Okay.
I mean, some are like basically the same,
Sure.
but I think,
Yeah.
I don't know, isn't
Some
it?
are not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do the last pause and
Yes.
then we'll be right back for the last part. And we are back. So we're talking about the presence of female figures in the Fall community and how it has changed so fast for the last few years. And I think we can see this progressive movements mostly in this new thing that is happening now that I heard about, this Forró Federation in Europe, right? And so if you guys, are you guys part of that? Like, can you talk a bit about what is this federation? How does it work? I mean, what is it?
It is. We are part of it. Forró Stockholm is. Well, it's just starting, but I mean, it's. I guess you've seen it on Facebook and stuff.
Yes, I have seen the pictures.
From the meetings.
From the Zoom meeting, yeah.
So it's a really amazing thing. I think a really, really good initiative, and a group of people have done some really nice and thorough preparatory work to set up the organization. And then they kind of sent out invitations to all the organizers. They scouted everyone's emails addresses like that. And the purpose of the organization is to professionalize Forró in Europe and both be a support for the organizers, but also make it better for everyone who works within Forró.
Yeah.
So even if musicians are not represented as musicians in the organization, because it is an organization for organizers, the goal is still to make it more that we treat the people we work with more professionally, both teachers and musicians, and also to help small communities build and thrive. And one way to do that is to help people find money, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
how can we find funds to make Forró grow? Because there are funds in almost in each country, but also on the European level. That's why from the EU, from the European Union, there is a lot of money that you can apply for when you're doing this kind of pro bono work that we are doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't one idea also when you actually bring people from abroad, it's easier to organize from the federation, and maybe like it's always a hassle if you have a band and you have to plan a tour for them in Europe.
There's always someone responsible in Europe, so like someone the band knows, some organizer or teacher or so on that becomes like their manager.
Yeah.
And then like manages their whole tour, which is like so much work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and we have been collaborating with those managers and bands several times. And this Forró Federation can also be a support in that, because we will be a lot of people and very structured, and we can invite bands from Brazil, which is what we want as well. Yeah.
So the initial
for them to work around in Europe. And
the one who took the initiative were organizers, big organizers, right? Like in Germany, France, Portugal, and so on.
Yeah, not Portugal, I think.
And now they have invited, so maybe there are like 40 organizers, different parts.
It was moving, the first meeting,
Yeah.
because I'm the representative from our board who is in the Forró Federation. It was moving to see all these little windows of people doing the same thing more or less. And I was working so hard for the same cause, as we do, because as people here in Sweden don't know what Forró is.
No.
I mean, it's not a well-known, not anywhere in Europe except maybe Portugal, outside of the community. That is also, I forgot. I mean, we have many purposes with that Forró Federation that I forgot to mention, but it's also to make Forró more known, and that's also a goal of the federation. That's would also be a way to make the communities grow.
Yeah, it's good to say that, because usually in Europe and around the world, you see a lot of the Latin dances.
Yeah.
And Forró it's not included in that.
No, it's like this kind of like big dance conferences that happens with many styles in Europe. The Forró is never there.
Exactly.
No, it's more samba than it's well known in Europe as a Brazilian dance.
Yeah.
Not gafieira, samba no pé.
Exactly.
Nobody knows.
Gafieira, exactly. Yeah. So it's good to try to make.
I think it's the future.
Forró, no, yes, and I have been talking about that for a while now, about how we as Forró organizers and we as Forró lovers should try to sell the Forró as as part of the Latin dance, right? Because if some of the play is part of this, and you have salsa, bachata, and other stuff, even Brazilian zouk, it's really growing fast in Europe. And and I don't know why Forró, it's not seen as...
They're like alone with samba gafieira doing their thing.
Exactly.
I'm not sure why.
Because kizomba, which is an Angolan couple dance, that is always mixed with salsa parties and bachata parties.
Yeah.
And it's not a Latin dance from the beginning.
No.
Even though it's inspired a bit, but
That's
so
true. Then I think things start happening by themselves, like for those bigger Latin or Latin inspired dances, then things happen by themselves. Once you get they become known, they reach a certain level of fame. Then things start happening by themselves, like a snowball effect maybe.
I don't know if
we are clearly not there.
I don't know if it's the culture that is a little bit different in the Forró scene from some Latin dancers, and maybe that's why it hasn't really gotten close to each other.
But I think a lot of people want to go and dance something that makes them feel sexy, and they think that. I mean, I'm not always, but when you think about something like Latin, then you
there
see
is
this
stigma kind of.
And then they search for those dances.
And even nowadays we have this sensual bachata, right? It's another variation for the bachata. I don't know if you know the difference, but it's called like two different classes.
I mean, Forró can be plenty sensual, but people don't know that, or I don't think
it's not the first impression you get.
And you don't really. It's much more introvert between the couple who is dancing than it is for show, right? So you don't see what
and it's not as dressed up as well.
No, it's not as dressed up.
That's true. That's true.
There's also strict dress codes.
That's why maybe
we are finding that the reasons.
And that's why, my friends, Forró and salsa is not together.
But it's like it's a pity, because I think so many people who dances out there, Latin dances, would enjoy Forró. I really do. I really do. I mean, maybe I'm biased in this, but I think so. Maybe also because we haven't commercialized Forró that much yet.
No, but that creates also the accessibility when you take a friend there, they don't have to think so much about what they're gonna wear and everything, and then they
that
see
attracted
people.
me to Forró. And that it wasn't like I have to come here and try to look like a snack. I can just come after work, or I can dress up. That's also fun.
And people do for festivals.
Definitely.
I mean, you're like, I want to have this.
And that's lovely too. But it felt very okay with both.
And beach Forró, I mean, outdoors, you have your flip flops on, and it's like
it's different.
It's a very liberating. How do you say? liberating feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit of a Brazilian essence, maybe. I mean, for those who have been to Brazil, like myself, that's something that really is attractive in Forró and creating Forró communities in Europe, because we have a part of this vibe and we meet Brazilians there. We can speak Portuguese and we meet other people, like Swedish people or foreign people, that have some kind of interest in Brazil and interest in maybe Portuguese and Brazilian culture. And I think the Forró community is a little like mecca for that.
Yeah.
To feed those interests.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of me as well in the Forró community.
Yeah, and then like as an organizer, I think, but I mean, you have more knowledge about both like Portuguese culture and Brazilian culture and the language than I do. But I feel like as an organizer, you can at least be like the mediating link between those who are interested and like sources to fulfill that interest, like the knowledge of people from Brazil, for example, or teachers that we invite here, or you know, that can kind of nurture that interest for people.
Yeah.
By inviting people who know more than myself.
Exactly, that's really important to have people coming in and like providing with more like deeper knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think festival has been starting to do that a bit more as well, like being very aware of where Forró is coming from and trying to educate people a little bit.
I think that's really important as an organizer, to not just kind of assume that you I don't mean that people who are not from Brazil or haven't danced for 20 years shouldn't, I mean, what I'm trying to say is just that I think it's important as an organizer to know what you don't know. So to understand that you don't know everything, and not like just assume that since maybe you're the most knowledgeable in our little communities that we have here in the north of Europe, then you are the one who should paint the whole picture of such a vast culture, and so that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think we do.
So we always try to inform like students that there are different kinds of Forró. We're doing this one now, and there are many different ways and different styles of the music and dance and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, show that Brazil is huge and have a lot of different things.
Yeah. And sometimes there has been disputes between organizers in Europe about like what you are saying about Forró, where the style comes from, or what's the origin of this specific style of Forró, or you know, there's been like the perspective, and often the perspective is almost the same, but there's this little like
and
they're a little bit skewed to some direction, and people don't agree amongst themselves.
Of the definitions.
Of definitions, and the historical perspective can be small differences that has really been debated.
Yeah, of course, to understand the past, it's really important. But I think, you know, to build the future, as you guys are doing, is at least for me, is the main important thing for the Forró scenario we have now. You know, so you know, trying to understand the past to know how to make a better community, better events, better teachers, better musicians, and everything else.
Also, let things transform.
Yeah.
Because if you want to have creativity, if you want to have freshness, I think it's positive. If it's allowed to mix a bit, to let yourself be influenced by things, like maybe jazz sometimes will have like a little touch on some band or whatever. So I think that you need these people, these purists that get super involved with like all the old records, all the old musicians, and like have this that they can contribute with that knowledge. But then you have also people that want to experiment with new things, and like in the match there is like
that's the best thing. But that takes like a lot of tolerance between those who are organizing or working together as well, to see that everyone can contribute with something, like whatever your perspective is or your main focus.
We usually try to make like the festival with different styles and different teachers, because we're not like purists of any style or actually style of dance or Forró within that.
And I've talked about that with other teachers, and a lot of people think that the future of forró is this mix,
Mhm.
you know. So it's not useful to just do one thing.
Yeah.
And it's so new here with Forró that we also want to provide people with the chance to discover different styles.
Yeah.
Even if we can't be like a full representation,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
some various styles so they can try,
exactly.
because
I think it's just wonderful if you really learn about one style and then there comes another way, another kind of way from the posture and the combination with the feet and everything, and then maybe the music
I love
style
when people
too.
can mix styles. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like maybe you're tired of dancing in one way and then you have a new challenge to do and then you realize, no, but I miss a little bit dancing the other way, and like you have both these sources to
Yeah,
take
I
to
think
your
that's
dance.
a
Yeah.
nice way to
Yeah.
consider it. This kind of, it is
Yeah.
sources of knowledge and skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Last considerations?
There's so much to say
There's so
about
much.
Forró. We could talk 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
Thank you, Brazil, for creating Forró,
Yeah.
giving it to the world.
Yeah.
We're so thankful.
And thanks for
Yes.
having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
On
you,
the channel.
girls,
Yeah.
for being here
It was
with
a
us.
pleasure.
Do mais canal de forró. I hope you guys enjoyed the quick visit here in our channel. Yes, I hope that we'll do more of that sometime.
Sure.
I'll be back for sure for more.
Yeah.
So yeah, so keep
Invite us to Rio.
yes, we'll do that as well.
When there's a vaccine.
Yeah, exactly.
We're coming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Keep the hard work, keep the forró growing.
Mhm.
Send more news about the federation. I hope that
Yeah.
everything will work fine.
Yeah, I'm excited to.
Yes.
I will share.
Yes.
I will share with you.
And thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. You can write us messages or comment down below. So hit that subscribe button. And yeah, see you guys next time. See you guys
See ya.
next time.
See ya.
And a big kiss
Beijo.
from mais canal de forró.
I spoke Portuguese.
Duktig. Då.